Okie dokie. This is a Dannyson radio show slash podcast, a new feature now where we have special guests on my Zoom call and video live as well. Introducing now, my special guest is Denise Marsa, no stranger to show business, but we'll come to that. Firstly, how are you today, Denise, and where are you in the globe right now?
Yeah, I'm great in New York City, in the Village, Greenwich Village, West Village. Things are wonderful. Thank you for asking. And you're good today?
Yeah, very good. Summertime here in the UK. Can't say much about the weather, but it wants to improve, so we'll see about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about the UK weather, and a lot of it has to do with very little sun.
That's right. And in New York, the city of the dreams, to live in the dream there, the city that never sleeps, the city with no boundaries. What's it like living, being surrounded by the greatest city in the world?
It's pretty amazing, actually. And I think one of the great things about New York is the energy, and also I think because it's so compact, it is a small island, and there's so many people here that you can walk outside your front door, you can see people from the neighborhood. People think it's such a big city, but it's very in some ways very home like, because you walk out your front door, you see people, people are friendly, people are going, all and all kinds of people. Like this city is filled with such an eclectic mix of people from everywhere in the world, from everywhere in the States. So it's exciting. For me, it's always been filled with adrenaline for me. It's where I've been the most. I mean, I've been creative. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and I lived in London for a while. I'm always writing songs, but I always kept my place, my space in New York City.
And that's where your spirit is at the moment, that you feel that's
Yeah.
where home is.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like my spirit's also a little bit in the UK, because I'm working with the UK team, and my music was first released. We were focusing first on the UK, and so, and I've always loved London. Great memories and great experiences and such.
And you can always have a second home, can't you? You can
Yeah,
always have a
exactly.
second home. Yeah. So
My second or third home. I love California.
beautiful. Denise, as well, you've been in this entertainment business for a while now. Can you just tell my listeners, like a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I've been singing since I was a young girl, singing and dancing, performing. I was in like summer stock theater, and then in high school I had a rock and roll band. And I've had bands most of my life. When I lived in LA, when I lived in New York, I always played live with a band. And I've been writing songs. I've always wanted to be a songwriter, so I've been writing songs. Really, I think since my early 20s, but maybe even as a teenager, because I was in some bands when I was in college, and I was in a couple original bands, and I just started helping with the lyrics and then the melody, and then I didn't really play an instrument, and so I learned a little bit about guitar, but I was really drawn to the piano, loved the piano, and so I used to bang out the chords, go into I used to, wherever there was a piano, I would sneak in and play, and I taught myself how to play, and that's how my songwriting really started, just from. So if you asked me to play any other song, I can't play any other song on my own. I mean, I could probably figure it out, but it would take me a while.
Yeah.
I play by.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna ask, when you did gigs, did you like perform in like live music venues and say like nightclubs and establishments, over the years?
Yes, I mean, I've played in many places. I mean, I did some shows in London. I did some shows in New York and California. Played the Troubadour. I played the Roxy here, and I played the Bitter End when I first came to New York. I did a couple of songs at the Bottom Line when it was there, but my own gigs I did. I played mostly the most shows I've ever done in my life consistently was when I lived in Los Angeles. I had the Mother Band. It was Denise Marsa and the Mother Band, and we played all over the area. And we had a good following, and it was fun. We played all the Cafe Largo, all the clubs. That was the most I've ever performed during a period of time.
So
And then I
good
played
fun,
fun.
yeah. Good fun times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Just talking there about your gigging side. Now onto your music. Um, how would you describe your music? You know, your sounds. You say you're a keyboardist. Does that play an integral part of the sound you're trying to create?
Yes, I think it's very keyboard synth oriented. I basically, as far as my process, I've had various keyboards over the years. I've always been a sequencer, so I don't like to go from when I'm writing a song, I don't like to go from keyboard to computer to like I work on Pro Tools and then back to another part. I like to put it all together on my sequencer and then I record each track separately on into the app, into the Pro Tools. So track by track by track. And I typically it comes either the rhythm comes first. I get a feel for it and I find a rhythm I like, or I either build it or it's already pre-built like a loop. And then I work sometimes on a part, like a riff comes first, and then the keyboard sound, and sometimes it all comes at once, which is really hysterical because I have to kind of slow down a little bit because when I get excited when you're writing, when I'm writing a song, it's very exciting, and I go into this whole different realm, this whole space. Time kind of stops, to be honest. So yeah, and then sometimes the melody comes. Sometimes I have a lyric that's been floating around in my head, and I sometimes get a concept for a song. Like I want to write a song that's kind of like this, or feels like that, or expresses that, or and they just come out. It's been pretty. It's especially the last few years. I've always been prolific, but I've been extremely prolific, and also I've always tried to not pick a lane as far as genre. I like to mix genres, and so this particularly pivotal on my album that's just released on this past Friday, I think it's really kind of one of the most eclectic albums I've ever put out. And it all has a cohesiveness, I believe, but it's also like, it's I think for me, it's my most interesting. Though my first album was cool, but it was live and it was my first album self. And that I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, what? Because I started my own record label to put my stuff out. So, I've learned along the way. And I also have great collaborators this time on Pivotal.
Great.
Music.
Your Pivotal, that's a new album. Pivotal means like central point, significant as well. Is that what the song title you're trying to get across to the listener?
Yeah, I think pivotal. I think there's certain times in our lives that are pivotal, like that really can shift. Things will shift, and things that may be more momentous. And I think this is a pivotal time for my career and my life. And I think after with the pandemic, everybody was closed off, and everything shifted, and it changed the world in a way. And then I felt myself changing and myself kind of shifting my priorities, and I had never really promoted my music before. I've been making music forever, but I decided I was going to really take the time and energy and find the right people to work with to really promote my music. If I'm going to put an album out this time, I'm going to really promote it. So that's what I'm doing. And I also think musically, lyrically, vocally, I think it's a culmination of my life and my career. So it all comes out.
And your brand new single, it's a shimmering single, which means glowing. Don't count yourself out. There's two versions, the original version and the Until Dawn remix of it as well.
Yes. That was written. I mean, I did a lot of the writing in 2022, 2023, and then a little bit, I think, all were written towards the end of 2023 or 2022. Like that was the timeline. I don't think any of the album are from 2024. I've been writing since then, but those are the albums. And Don't Count Yourself Out Yet is just basically about not giving up. It's singing it to myself, but also singing it to everyone who's thinking about ever giving up or given up. You really, whatever we do in our lives, whether it's creative, non-creative, mixture of everything, you really have to count on yourself, and don't count yourself out yet. Like some people have been giving up and some people feel defeated, and it's my way of saying let's stay positive, let's stay in the game. And it's also me staying in the game. because I've been in the game, a little bit now.
It's a current single now. Don't count yourself out. So I encourage the listeners to check that one out. Just
Awesome.
a few
Thank
more songs I wanted to throw a little spotlight on from your new album. Let's go with Dry Spell. When you say like a dry spell, does that mean like when things just kind of not busy, stay
it
inactive?
actually, that's the most recent song I wrote, and that's made it on the album. I took another song off, replaced it. And I wrote it on a keyboard this size, like so small, like a 12-note keyboard. I was in LA and I had this small keyboard just for ideas and stuff and parts. And so the meaning of the song is actually about, a relationship where, I think people, like every relationship has ebbs and flows, all kinds of relationships, but an intimate relationship. And so this is a song about really when things are stagnant, kind of a dry spell. Sometimes people step out of their relationship, and it's about the idea that you step out and do you tell the truth and try to save the relationship, or you just keep lying and denying it? And so I've seen a lot of relationships and experienced relationships where people aren't honest, and it's important, I think, to realize this too shall pass. So it was a dry spell, and I'm actually kind of referring to the love part, like, because a lot of times people want to feel stimulated, or they want meet some reason why they meet someone new, or they excited about someone, or they cheat, whether they're married, engaged, living with people, whatever the commitment is. They want a spark. They want that spark again. And sometimes you got to create that spark and keep that spark going in your own relationship and be honest about it, but it's hard. So some people just step out, and then rather than saying, I did this, they stay in and deny, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
whatever, people, they do. Does that make sense? Did you have any
So,
ideas about?
certainly true, I guess. When people are in relationships and they're single, then they go for that dry spell, maybe.
Yeah. So did you get it to mean that, or did you mean you thought I meant creatively?
Yeah, I guess with because I was saying to other artists in the past, with music, to the listener, it's their interpretation of the song, isn't it? How a song can mean different to, many people differently.
Yeah, but it's all so could be just dry spell in general. Like, was it,
Yes, yeah. Like the weather, maybe. Just
to step away, or because you got to accept there are going to be dry spells.
yeah. Moving on, I have to talk about your single Rainbow. That's the final track on the album. Is that one of your proudest tracks as well, which means a lot to you, the Rainbow song?
Yeah, I mean, I think every song on the album means something to me, but this one I wrote it in 2020, and then I released it as ASRAM 450, as it just decided to do like we did a remix with a Lautrum Studios in Germany, and it's interesting because I released it that way, and then I released it with Paul A. Harvey playing acoustic guitar. I did another version of it, which is, I think, beautiful. And for some reason, it was always a song that people always responded to. It's about love and about really kind of having hope, and rainbows are phenomenal. So like, there's something so magical about them. And so, yeah, I'm very proud of the song. Again, I wrote it 2020, and then I wasn't going to put it on the album. And then I had a version of it that was good, but two friends of mine said, you got to put this on the record. You got to put this on the record. Like one friend who I've been, dear friend of mine, he's also a songwriter, said he wouldn't talk to me if I didn't put it on. So I had a big decision to make. I thought about it. I said, okay, I'll put it on. But what I did is I sent the vocals to Until Dawn, because I was so happy what they did with Kiss Me in the Rain. And so then they did this rainbow version of, it's their remix, and that's what's on the album. And I love it. I just think they nailed it. It's perfect.
So I believe it's the last track on the album. So what better way to go out with a bang?
Yeah, I just felt like, because, the album goes through a lot of different emotions and expressions. And I just thought, what, let's leave it on a high. you know, and that's where I put it. And so, you know, yeah, I'm very happy with that. It's cool. It was the second single as well. I think that the Until Dawn, they remix and they also promote. So I think they've just started promoting it a few weeks ago, and it's doing really well in the clubs. I don't know if you know, but we had a hit with Kiss Me in the Rain remix.
Yeah.
Did you know? Yeah, that
Yes, I
was
saw
cool.
that. Yeah, that come up.
That was great. Like, yay.
What's it like when you hear your song being played in a club or a bar?
I haven't heard it yet.
Oh no.
Because it's happening over in the UK. We're promoting mostly in the UK right now. And so I basically haven't heard it. And I want to ask Craig Jones from Until Dawn. He's the promoter. I think he's got a company, Euro Solution, something like that. But I want to ask him, can you please film people dancing to the song? But I feel, you know, I don't know if he's actually in the clubs, but he's got all these DJs spinning it. Now they're spinning Rainbow, so I'm excited.
That's good. I mean, I do a few gigs in the UK. If I'm ever doing a gig, I'll try and, you know, play it out live and then take a video of it, see what I can
So
do.
you have a DJ as well, like you do
Yeah, I do
club.
live gigs, yeah, but in the West Midlands, yeah. More
Oh,
bars, but you know, still that
oh,
element, you know, people
yeah,
dancing.
still providing the audience with some entertainment and some energy and some vibes and all that stuff, which is cool.
Mm.
And that's what you do. You do that mostly?
Mostly, yeah, primarily. I do the radio as well, obviously people know me from. But like, you know, with the Rainbow song, was it the atmosphere you're trying to create for a Friday, Saturday night, you know, get people dancing?
You know, it's weird. I don't really necessarily think about where I want the song to be played, but what I do think about is the energy of the song and what I'm trying to convey. And there was situations where I was talking with people, and one particular person, and they were so kind of hurt by love and destroyed and like kind of down on love. And I just sort of thought about the idea of like how many people have been disappointed by love, how many people have cut themselves off, and how many people are like kind of kind of done with love in a way. And I sort of felt like, well, there have to be songs, there have to be situations where you can sort of bring someone to the other side. That's what that lyric's about. Like, you know, from not believing in love to believing in love. And that's sort of what that's pretty much what the song's about. And writing it in 2020 when the pandemic was hitting, it was like, you know, I thought it was a good time to write a song like that. And I felt like I wanted to put it out, kind of keep the energy positive, and keep love alive. We can't, man, you know, we can't give up on that. We can't give up on love.
Mm.
Where will we be?
It's good, yeah, good meaning in the song. Also, just an observation, people who listen to your music may also listen to Bob Seger and Pat Benatar. Are them artists have any connection with you or influences?
No, I saw that on Spotify. I was surprised. I guess there were just maybe, I think one of the things with this album is I'd like to see, you know, I would like to believe, and I think it's happening, multiple, you know, like generations getting into the music. But I think a lot of people who may know me personally, you know, they might be listening to that stuff. Who knows? I don't know. Or people that are, you know, older generation, or people, you know, I've never ever seen I don't think anything that I do sounds like Bob Seger, but that might be one of their most favorite artists. Maybe there's something about how I sing that reminds them of Bob Seger or Pat Benatar. I don't know. I mean, I think Pat Benatar is brilliant, and I think Bob Seger's brilliant. But I think it's interesting when I saw that as well on Spotify, because sometimes then I see other comparisons to other artists, like someone said you're kind of like Adele. I'm like, nah, I don't know. But you don't really know who you sound like, because you sound like yourself to you.
Mm-hmm.
But who else they listen to, who else moves them, and you know, who knows? Maybe, you know, somebody's listening, you know, like they could listen to classical and listen to me. You know, I think music is one of the things that has no boundaries.
Universal.
Yeah, and that's my opinion. Like everybody listens, and that's how I've always listened to all kinds of music, all types.
Just one more question. In your long career, what have been like your highlights?
So I have to say the biggest highlight so far was Kiss Me in the Rain going, you know, getting on the charts, the club commercial charts. top 10. That was really exciting for me. I premiered my show, The Pass. It's a musical. It's a one-woman show with my Tracy Stark on piano. I premiered it in London at the Playground Theatre, I think in Notting Hill. And I had never performed a show before, and then I just got up on stage and I performed it for 2 nights, and the reviews were really good, and the audience really responded. They laughed. They were really. It was a wonderful two nights for me. I'd have to say, that was one of the highlights of my career, and I think it shifted things for me as well as an artist, because I stood there and I told my story. I've had a long career, and I've also had, I don't know, some success very early on, and particularly in the UK. I sang on a song that did very well, and Lucky Stars with Dean Friedman, and that was a very strange time for me because I was very young. I didn't know what was going on, and it was all like a whirlwind, and I wasn't really in the moment with it. And I think that's really important. As you get older, you start to understand as an artist, like, these are important moments. Like, sometimes you could be ahead of yourself when you're younger, and I think I was ahead of myself during that time. And I think right now I'm sort of, especially now with Pivotal, I'm in the moment. I'm totally in the moment. Like, I don't want to, I'm not looking too far ahead, and I'm certainly not looking too far back.
The present time, you just is the best place to be at, really.
Exactly. And I've just, it took me a while to learn that.
Amazing. Thanks so much for your time today, your contribution to the show. All for me to do, really, is just get on your new single on my show. Would you like to introduce it on the Don't Count Yourself Out?
Absolutely. So, hey, everyone. Thanks for being with Dan, Son, and I here today. And I'm proud to introduce you to the 3rd single, Don't Count Yourself Out Yet, from the album Pivotal.
Best of luck with everything, and all the best from here in the UK.
Thanks, Danny. It was really great.